What's going on, YouTube? Back in here with another live stream. This is a Thought and Talk podcast, and this is your host, Aaron EBM. See what we got going on here, man. Put this back on the screen. Make sure you can see me on the screen. Now, my internet connection was pretty bad, so if I'm looking like a Minecraft character, let me know. Let me know. Internet is lagging a little bit. And you know they throttling down. If you got one of these internet providers that do not have unlimited internet, y'all know that after a while, if you use or go over that cap, they kind of throttle your internet, and then you know everything gets slow, and then the bandwidth is choked off, and you know it's just bad for business. We're trying to get another internet provider. We're trying to get another internet provider, but if you're in a town or a city that does not have a lot of competition, it's almost like a monopoly, making it very hard to get another provider. But we in here. You know, I took last week off. I took last week off, get a breather, get away from some of this internet stuff, focus on my analytics and what path I want to take. Y'all know how it is. If you're a content creator or if you have a favorite content creator, you know that, this stuff isn't always easy. But so we got to take a little time off, see what we want to do, get your head in the game or, deal with life. This isn't my full-time job, like you hear me say in my videos all the time. So every time I'm in here, I'm putting overtime for your entertainment and well-being. So that being said, out there in the real world, outside of YouTube land, we got jobs, you know what I'm saying? You got careers, and if it's not media based, then you have to deal with that on top of coming on here and putting forth the effort to give you guys some good quality entertainment. So, and I'm not the kind of person that's just gonna get out here and just put anything out. So I took last week off. My job, man, job is getting nuts, man. It's just this time of year when things kind of up and down. If depending on what kind of job you have, usually the winter seasons are usually the slower seasons, and of course the summer being that everybody's out spending money. Things are a little different. But now because the economy is so weird, everything is kind of like flip flop. And we're going through a transition. I was pretty much told that I'm going to take over my counterparts' work, so I have to do, while their job is getting easier and other people's, around me job is getting easier, I'm getting more, more put on me. And it is what it is. Things like that wax and wane in your careers. And sometimes you have ups, times where you don't really like it and you're getting put through. You're having seasons to where you really don't want to be in that job that you have sometime, especially if it's not what you love. If it's not what you love, if it's not a passion of yours and you're doing it, to make ends meet, and you kind of just fall into a career. Because that's what, here in the United States, most of the people don't go into a career that they want to do their whole lives. Very few people in the United States are groomed to the point to where they go to college, go to school, and their entire life is mapped out for them. They go to college and, they get the career they want and they do the career that they were, born to do. A lot of us fall into these different careers, and I'm no different. And, I'm working on things, I'm trying to figure out how I want to add my ventures into some of my content, and we're going to do it, especially the colder it gets. How it is. YouTube usually pops off in the wintertime. You're not out as much, you're not doing as much stuff with your family, you're kind of cooped up. So yeah, more stuff is get put on me at the job, and that's okay. We overcome, we press through. We're not, ordinary people, otherwise we wouldn't be in here, putting it all out on the line for you guys to see. So of course, like I said, I don't want to give you guys half effort. I don't want to give you guys half effort when I'm going through some of the things sometimes, even though, the better you get, the more you're out here doing this stuff, you can push through. But I'm just not going to do that. I'm not the type of person that's just going to get on here with the attitude and so much stuff on my mind, and then it messes with you guys. Let me see. Today, make sure this is up. Of course, y'all already seen the thumbnail. Don't know why this isn't sharing. Oh, here it is. Of course, you've seen the thumbnail today. Thought and Talk podcast. This is episode 21. The end is near. If you already haven't heard, let me see. Affirmative action. Affirmative action could be on the chopping block. It could be, the time could be winding down for affirmative action. And of course, that's why you see these lovely ladies up here on my thumbnail. Of course, all of them look like they are fighting the patriarchy, of course. The end is near, man. It seems like they're taking 1-2 punches left and right. First it was the Roe Wade, and now we have affirmative action. And some people think that affirmative action is just like the union, the workers union. Is it an outdated concept? Is affirmative action something, a thing of the past, in a society that for the most part is not filled with systemic racism. Of course, you're going to have people saying that, there's always systemic racism, and we're all oppressed, and we should fight the patriarchy and the oppression. And then you have the other people that say, of course, there are laws and amendments that fight through this, and it's of course oppression and things like that are highly illegal. So why even have affirmative action anymore? And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it today, and that's what we're going to talk about, a little bit of that. We're going to talk about, why some of these things won't change. We have the whole Black Love Machine here on YouTube. The Black Love Machine. Why I don't believe that Black Love Machine will work while we're in a perpetual state of dysfunction, and why it will continue to be like that. And we're also going to talk about a little bit about Takeoff. We're not going to talk a whole lot about Takeoff. Just my thought about, where we are as a people, where we are as a society, and why the continual blame game or push to blame something else other than the people and the things that are causing the issue. So I hope you guys are doing all right. Once again, I am Aaron EBM, and welcome to the Thought and Talk podcast. Hope you guys are doing all right out there. If you're watching this, or if you decide to watch this right now, welcome. If you watch it on the replay, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Oh man. So what we gonna look at first, man? We got a lot going on. Let me pull my stuff up, because you don't want to see that yet. Don't want to see that yet. Let's go with here. First story that I seen that was interesting. Let me see. HR husband, she was sent home for revealing clothes at work, sparking the debate. He said earlier this year, a woman on TikTok went viral after claiming she was sent home from work from human resources for her outfit. Now she's saying it happened again. You see the lady right here on the picture. Make sure you can see that. Minimize that. I can't see you guys. And of course, you're not going to be able to see that because it's small. Of course, you see, she said, "Guys, it happened again. I'm getting sent home. This time, the HR girl approached me about, I'm about to ask her, you see, and sorry, you still can't. I can't see where that is way too revealing and distracting." Now, this is something that's not new in the workplace. Like I said before, if you're in the workplace, and if it's a blue collar, but a white collar place, it's a pretty comfortable place. You're working around cubicles, or you working in a school. That usually seems to happen a lot when you're working in school. Schools, you get more. And it's fitting we talk about the patriarchy and this empowerment thing, because now all of a sudden we got a bunch of women, an influx of women that are trying to push the envelope on what they wear, what they describe, or what they believe that is work friendly and what isn't work friendly. And you get it even in a place, place where I work. I've actually had one of my former bosses wear the what they call it, like the TikTok leggings to work, and after she wore them long enough, newsletter came out, letterhead came out saying that women couldn't wear those kind of things anymore, along the same lines as it being distracted, and this is common sense, you know what I'm saying? And they try to push it. They try to push that envelope with them stretch pants like that, because they are covering. They are 100% covered up. The women are 100%, they're covered. They're not technically naked or anything like that. But it's revealing almost in the same fashion, because it's like a second skin. I'll say it like that, because it's like a second skin. They feel like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, and then then you get into that debate about policing, women's work, women's clothes. But it is a time and a place. You gotta we're to the point to where you guys got to have common sense. You can't just push the limits and push the boundaries, and then say somebody either picking on you or coming down on you differently than anybody else. That's why you do have codes of conduct, work clothes, and everything like and work attire like that. But now we're getting to a point to where they don't want to do that. They want to push the envelope. And it said in the video, almost 19 million views. God dang, 19 million over some revealing clothes. Claims she was sent home by HR girl because of her outfit, too revealing and distracting. Let me see. I hope they got it. Let's see. Make sure you guys can see that.
Guys, it happened again. I'm getting sent home for my outfit. This time the HR girl approached me. I'm about to ask her.
God dang, come on.
I'm sorry, you still can't wear that. It's way too revealing and distracting.
It's distracting?
Very.
Maybe it'll work. Okay. Okay, you guys, here's the HR value. Oh, now, okay. Ain't even gonna lie. The first dress, I felt like she was picking.
Let's test the jealousy theory. I'm gonna wear something kind of ridiculous, and we're gonna try to get approval from the HR rep that is here today, who's a male. Okay, this is what I'm wearing to work, but I put this on. I did bring like a little blazer cover up to class it up. Here's the HR violation fit. So let's go ask the male HR rep. Hi.
Now, come on. I mean, that one was a little bit that one with all the cleavage out. Okay, you was asking for it, but like I'm gonna keep it real, and I'm gonna say, was the first outfit bad, or was it wrong or too revealing? I don't think so.
Oh, hell no.
I don't think the first one was too revealing. I think it was maybe they were kind of, she might have been doing this more than once, and they were kind of just she was already on the radar. That green one was way too low cut in that picture. That doesn't look like the same dress that she actually held up.
Ezra's not here today. She keeps writing me up for my outfits, but since you're here, is this okay? Is this?
Oh yeah, you look ready. You do a spin?
Do a spin?
Yeah. Wow, looks great.
Oh man, I don't know. That I don't know. You got the somebody else telling her that she looks great. Let me see. Yeah, that was her husband saying it might have been jealousy. I don't know. Hold on.
Let's test the jealousy theory. I'm gonna wear something kind of ridiculous, and we're gonna try to get.
Okay, so basically it's in a loop now. So now she's saying that that was her husband saying that it might have been jealousy. Do I think the first dress something was wrong with it? Nope. I don't think the first dress something was wrong with the first dress. The second dress, I felt like she was asking for it. If that's what she was doing, she was asking for it. But like I said, this is in the a light part of it, but this is where we are as in the society we're at now. We got people pushing the limits. I got women trying to get away with things they really know they can't get away with. And it's the same thing as Halloween. We just got through with Halloween. Halloween comes around. What is Halloween all about now? Women use Halloween as a time and a specific time to be able to go out in their slutty uniforms and not be judged about it. We all know what it is by now. If you've been around long enough, it turned, as kids, we wanted to go and trick or treating. We wanted to be involved with it. And then the women, they use it as a chance to, do what they wanted to do, dress in the tightest outfits they could. It's always either Catwoman, Miss Incredible, that was another one, or whatever, and one of the Incredibles or something like that. The mom from Incredibles, and it's always a costume character, a cat, with the a cat suit. There's always some outfit or a sexy nurse or a nun. It's one of them. It's one of them three. Harley Quinn was good, big like a few years ago, but it all in all, it's the same thing. All the women want to do is use that for a place to show off what they can show off and not be judged, and it kind of just translates over to the workplace. It's no different. It's the same thing. Guys are just used to it. Guys are numb to it. It's just like, it is. It is what it is. They're going to do what they want to do. And we just sit there and like we just let the women do what they want to do and call it a day. That by far was not the worst thing or worst outfit I have ever seen, or one of these women try to get away with. Let me know if it's a little. Appreciate it, Bells. I always get that late. I'm going to let me know if that helped. I'm going to back that down one. Let me know if that helped, Bells. It should be okay now. It should be okay. Probably just speaking. I forget to look at my levels before I get on sometime. But let me see what we got going on here. It is what it is with them at this point. No, we're not gonna read that one yet. This is one you have to pay attention to because it's funny. All right. So y'all need to get ready. I already kind of knew this was coming, but you guys need to get ready. You guys need to get ready for another rate hike on your food, and I think it predominantly will impact your canned goods. So it's another Federal Reserve approves another hike for a 0.75 cent rate hike, or another increase. Let's see what they say right here. Blow this up again for y'all, because y'all really do. Y'all need to take a rest from pearly things and high fees, and because those guys ain't nothing gonna really happen to you. Listen to them guys. I mean, it is what it is. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and we're still gonna be right here trying to figure it all out.
Football is back. Get Spectrum TV
Y'all
to
need
catch
that right
all
now.
of the action.
Listen
Watch
to this
NFL
ad.
and college games and much more on every device with the Spectrum TV app, and celebrate every touchdown.
Well, yeah,
Sunday
man, we get caught up on those
with
things
NFL
like
Get Spectrum.
high fees, and we get caught up on
Breaking news, the new
here it
interest
goes.
rate hike by the Federal Reserve as part of the fight against inflation. We are expecting to learn just how high interest rates will rise at any moment. Analysts expecting that hike to be 3/4 of a percentage point. Let's bring in ABC News business correspondent Alexis Christoforous to help break it all down while the wait continues. All right, Alexis, we should know soon just exactly what the hike is. Once again, the Fed is raising interest rates a sixth time this year so far. So has it been working to slow down inflation?
Well, you're right. I'm monitoring the Federal Reserve announcement right now. We're waiting for that to cross the wires. We are expecting it to be another aggressive one, Kira. 3/4 of a percentage point. It would be the fourth such increase in short-term interest rates this year, the sixth overall. And again, remember what the Fed's trying to do here. They're trying to slow the economy enough to bring down inflation without triggering a recession. And the news just crossing now, the Fed hiking by another 3/4 of a point, taking short-term rates to their highest level since January of 2008. To your question, is it working? When you take a look at where inflation is still at 8.2%, I think the short answer is no. It's affecting certain pockets of the economy, certainly the housing market, but things like groceries still costing all of us a whole.
Okay, see right there. See, this is the thing you got to pay attention when you're listening to the news. See, they play these games like telling you that this stuff is affecting certain people, in only certain markets, but those certain markets that is impacting, that the inflation is taking a big hit on, is the things that are impacting everybody. Food, just unless you're just super rich, and shout out to those guys and girls, men and women that are in those positions, doesn't really impact. But if you're an average person, if you are a middle class person, of course, carton of eggs going from $1.25 to $3.64 or 65 cents does make a difference. And these are the things they try to blow past when you are, when you're watching this stuff. This is the stuff that that you should really be paying attention to. Don't have your head in the clouds when you're dealing with this stuff, or you're trying to figure this stuff out. Don't let it blindside you. You need to know what's going on. If you don't have a deep freezer, you need to invest in a deep freezer. You need to invest in things that are going to lessen the impact of this stuff harming you. I'm a cash flow person. If you're not asset rich, then you need to really figure out a way that you can regulate the cash flow in your home, or in your area, or in your bubble. That's the next greatest thing. If you're not asset rich, and most people are not. By the statistics that most people are not asset rich, that a large percentage of the population is living paycheck to paycheck. And if the majority, or if a large portion of it is, then we should not be surprised or blindsided when this stuff happens. That means the majority of Americans should be ready in some shape, form, or fashion to combat this stuff. That means, sometimes that means sacrifice. I know that your parents told you that you weren't supposed to sacrifice. They told you that if you went to school for 4 to 6 years, that you should be able to do whatever you want to do. And that's just not true. We wouldn't be in this place right now. We wouldn't be in the position that women that would hold 3/4 of America's student loan debt. We wouldn't be in the position to where people are getting foreclosed on. We wouldn't be in the position that we are now if excuse me, if we weren't paying attention, if we were paying attention to this stuff. So keep going.
A lot more.
All right, I think we just got the numbers. There we go. Just in. So let's talk about how this rate increase will impact just our everyday lives. You just touched on it a little bit there, but credit card borrowers, new home buyers. I mean, we were just saying today when we were talking about that this was going to happen. Oh, sure, glad I'm not buying a home right now, but there are a lot of people in the middle of that, or they want to, or they need to.
Right, exactly. All of the above. And what this does is it just makes borrowing more expensive for consumers and also for businesses, for things like credit cards, mortgages, home equity loans, small business loans, and car loans.
All right. See, this is the thing about having a fixed interest rate. These are the things that kind of protects you when you are a homeowner already. And I say homeowner within air quotes. I know you don't see me right now. I'll say it in air quotes, because when you don't own that house outright, you still don't own that home. The bank owns that home, or the lender owns that home. But that doesn't mean you are not locked into a fixed interest loan, variable interest that will impact you when times like this come, because it kind of the rates really move with the market. If the market is great and the interest is down, your payments will be lower. And as soon as things happen like this, your rates will skyrocket, and then you don't know what really hit you. This is what kind of happened back when they first had the first housing market crash. People were in these subprime loans. People were, some people call them predatory loans. They got into these loans, didn't really know what they were getting into, and bam, economy crashes or tanks, and then you have to pay what you owe. You have to pay the interest that they tell you to pay. These are the things. Having a fixed interest rate or getting a home several years ago before this would have protected you, because unlike renting, and I don't have anything bad about renting, or if you are in the position to where you are moving and shaking in the way you need to move and shake, and it's better for you to rent. But if you're more of a person that is in a kind of fixed position or a stable position, it might be been more advantageous, I say it like that, than to rent back then. Now, I don't know. Everybody was excited about, the home prices increasing and all of that. And okay, now your home is, double the price, worth double than what it really was the first time. But you guys really don't realize, yes, your home is appraising more, but all the homes that you would like, or if you wanted to sell your home and go for something bigger, are also more money. Pretty much costing people out of the market. This is what happens. Yeah, I can sell that. I can sell my home, but then what are you going to do? Are you going to go back and rent again, or do you have, what are you going to do? Unless you had some kind of deal that you couldn't refuse on, that you could get this, that you can use that money on, you would be in a more than likely a worse situation than what you did before you sold your property. So these are the things that the people need to really pay attention to. They don't pay attention to this. I know we all want to talk about Hafiz, and we want to talk about Pearly, and we could talk about that. Ain't nothing wrong with talking about that. But in the end of the day, those guys, Hafez is making his money. Pearly is making her money. She's making bank. And we're sitting up here, arguing about what they're doing, and arguing about, should a person be talking about this stuff or not, all while we're struggling to buy a pound of butter, you know what I'm saying, or a pound, of eggs, you know what I'm saying. At one point in time, you can always count on eggs, you can always count on milk, you can always count on flour and those things like that to bring you through if need be. You can always make pancakes, eggs, whatever, and be okay no matter where you are if you're struggling. I never did understand why people would go to the ramen noodle all the time. And I know you can get a box of ramen for $1 and make it through, but man, wouldn't you much rather have some hot scrambled eggs or some over easies, with some, with a couple pieces of bacon or something like that, to offset eating all the ramen. But now look at it, you can't one dozen eggs. I mean, you can buy 2 or 3 boxes of ramen with it. That's the thing you should pay attention to. That's the thing people need to pay attention to. So that's going to keep it going.
The one, I guess, bright spot is if you're trying to look for higher yield on your money in the bank, some certificates of deposit and savings accounts are getting you a bit more for your money. They're not keeping pace with these interest rate hikes, I can tell you that much. But let's take a look at what this is going to mean if, for instance, you're trying to take out a mortgage. So if you had a $300,000 mortgage, at the beginning of this year, your payments on that mortgage have now more than doubled. You're now spending about $278 more a month on a $300 mortgage, $300,000 mortgage than you would have just 2 months ago. Taking a look at credit cards. This is a big one. Right now, the average rate on a credit card is over 22%. So if you and Americans are carrying an average of $6,200 in debt. Over the course of your loan, with today's interest rate increase, you're going to spend more than $360 a month, or over the life of the loan, I should say, to pay off that credit card back.
Okay, and you see what's happening now. If you are blindsided by these interest rates, or you are blindsided about on the with the amount of money that is costing for things in your life, and you really were, not wanting to scale back, or not wanting to pull back on your spending and really live within your means, what's going to happen? You're going to end up with spending more on your credit cards. You're going to end up putting money on those because you don't want to scale back on your cost of living. This is why it's so important. This is why it's the conversation is so important about, women in the space, about women wanting to get these good jobs and wanting to get men that made more money than them so they can go spend all this money, right? You want to go on the trip after, want to go on trips, and you want to go on at least 2 or 3 trips a year, and you wanted to live the same lifestyle you lived, all while not making more money, right? Because let's be honest, who's making more money these days? Are we getting raises to combat these interest rates? Are we getting raises to combat the cost of living at the rate that the cost of living is now? Or are we pretty much stagnant? I would say B, we're pretty much stagnant, living with the same amount of income and at the same amount of credit cards. What's going to happen? The income stays the same. We're going to end up spending more money. And when we spend more money and not really humble ourselves and pull back on the spending, what happens? We end up using those credit cards. And what did they just say right there about more money being spent on these credit cards? You're going to end up spending more money on interest, and then you're going to be stuck in this vicious loop right back again, just like in 08, just like before. You don't want to get stuck in those loops. It's just like a payday loan. It's just like getting a payday loan. You get a payday loan, and then you're stuck in this vicious cycle of trying to pay these payday loans off over and over again, and then you're just a slave to those payday loan lenders. This is what happens if you're not diligent about what you're doing. This is what happens when you don't want to actually humble yourself with the market. Because let's be honest, we're all not making the money that people saying. Everybody ain't on the internet is making $100,000, making six figures like they want to tell you they're making six figures. No, they're not. We all know from the facts. We all know from the statistics that the majority of people out there, majority of men is making around 42.5 a year. The average woman is making 30, 30 plus a year. And those women are the same women that, say they don't have money for investment, say they don't have money to pay off their car loans, and don't say they don't have money for all of this stuff, but they find enough money to go have BBLs, and they find enough money to go on trips. Dudes find enough money to go buy Jordans. Dudes find enough money to go buy PlayStation 5s and Xboxes. This is where you guys got to have to realize that sacrifice is coming. If you haven't saved the money, if you haven't, or you're not at the place you want to be, you're going to have to pull back. I mean, if you don't have to, but you're going to end up in a spot that you don't like. I'm just telling you, it's not me. It's right here in front of you.
Balance. So I think the short takeaway is try to pay off more than the minimum every month if you can, and get a handle on the debt, because interest rates are going to be higher for longer.
And, these aggressive hikes, are a move, as you pointed out, by the Fed Chair Jerome Powell to, cool inflation without tipping the U.S. into a...
Yes, pay those bills off. This isn't 2 years ago. This isn't mid or pre-pandemic. You're gonna have to pay those bills off. You're not going to be. This isn't the same world you were living in before this stuff had happened. This isn't the same world. You have the money. You got the money. Pay those bills off and pay them off as fast as you can.
A recession. So how do you think he's doing so far? And I know I ask this question every time, but do you see us going into a recession? What do you say now?
That is the question we keep asking ourselves. And with each passing interest rate increase, the odds of a recession get a little greater. Most economists believe we're not going to be able to avoid a recession.
I believe we're already in a recession. We keep going back. They keep playing, patty cake with this recession stuff. I already believe we are in a recession. People aren't spending like they were at the beginning. They're not pulling back like they could or they should, but they're not spending. People aren't spending like they were. You can look all around and tell people aren't spending like they were.
Probably see a mild one, hopefully a short-lived one, by the middle of next year. It would be a very strange recession, though, because it's usually accompanied by a weak labor market. And so far, we have got a very strong job market, and we also have very strong corporate profits right now.
All right, Alexis Christoforous, thank you so much. And rolling with us till we got those numbers. We'll keep talking about it throughout the day.
Oh, man. It's really something to think about, man. I mean, if you're one of those people that are into this, that whole prepper life, it really makes you wonder, like, should I been prepping like they told me I should have been prepping? Should have been doing a little bit better, but I don't know, man. It's no sense of being scared. It's no sense of being afraid of what's going on. It is what it is. What's happening now. It is what it is, but it still doesn't mean you can't, live your life in the most intelligent manner. You shouldn't wait for your whole life to come down in shambles just because something's going on like this. There's no reason for you to do that. Let's go to the next thing. What are we talking about now? Might as well go ahead and go talk about a little bit about let's see, get this stuff out. A little bit about Takeoff. By now, everybody knows by now what happened to Takeoff, and the prayers go out to the family, to the family of brother Takeoff. It's messed up, but this is what happens in the culture. This is what happens in the, in the community. You can't really put a thumb on it. We talk about it all the time, and it seems like everybody has the best thing to say after this stuff happens, but we don't want to challenge the behavior of the people until this stuff happens. I had a conversation about who's to blame. I know the person that pulled the trigger is in all to blame, but how do we get here? How do we get here as a people to where it's normal or natural for us to hurt each other, harm each other, no matter what status we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter where we are in life, death and destruction has to be a part of our everyday lives? Why is that the stigma? Why is that the norm of the community? Why is that something that we should just take and swallow, like a aspirin, and just go on about our business, and like nothing happened? Because it's not like that when the police do something to us. It's not like that when anybody else does something to us. But all of a sudden, it's like when we hurt each other, and and I don't want to hear that. Well, there's no such thing as black on black crime. People, X amount of people do. I mean, people do stuff to each other. Asians do stuff to each other. Hispanics and whites do stuff to each other. So it's no such thing as black on black crime. Okay, you want to have semantics. There's an Asian on Asian crime. There's an Asian on white. There's a white on white. Okay, crime is crime. Good, great. But you can't tell me that we are in a point. We are at a point to where we aren't doing the most to each other. And it's the truth. You can't sit here and say that we're not perpetuating this sick behavior on one another. You can't sit here and say that it's just our imaginations. Like everybody else is just destroying each other. We got it's just as many country music artists harming each other. It's just as much pop musicians harming each other. No, it's us. And my question is, is it the culture that is impacting the art, or is it the art that is impacting the culture? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. We continue to say that, for some odd reason, we have so much stuff going on. For some odd reason, they want us to believe and want us to abide by the street code, normal everyday citizens. They want us to abide by the street code and live in that reality, all while they aren't. They're the people that are actually in this mess. They snitch on each other, but then at the same time they want ordinary citizens that's just trying to live their lives to live, to operate in the same manner they are. And that just doesn't work. If you abide by the street code and no snitch rule and all that stuff, if you're living the same lifestyle, if you're hustling, if you're out there and you're doing the same thing your other guys doing across the street that you don't like, and he gets busted, it's no reason for you to then tell on that person. Yes, that is a part of the snitching life. Or if you are trying to harm a person and he or she's trying to harm you, and that person gets caught, okay, yeah, then you're both adding to that same destruction. But for some reason, why do we want the people that aren't living that life, and why is it that the people that have transcended that life still feel like they need to have that credibility in order to live and to live a good and fruitful life? Why is it all of a sudden that we need to or that those people need to feel like they don't have a reason to separate themselves from it? And this is where I'm gotten at. I was listening to Tariq Nasheed the other day. And I heard this, and this is what irritates me about this whole thing. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? What's on your mind, Raj?
Not much, man. I'm just trying to figure out why everybody when when stuff like this happen, the first thing people try to do is try to blame hip hop music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of rappers been getting hit before stuff like this started happening. Niggas been dying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, so y'all heard that. You see how stupid these people sound? Do you see how stupid these people sound? And I like Tariq Nasheed. I feel like he's he's done a lot more than I have. Hard working guy. He's a very charismatic guy. I like Tariq's content. Some of the stuff he says is on point. But this is where I begin to completely disagree with the stance and the takes that they have on this. Now, you heard him say, the guy call in and said, Negroes is always dying. So why they got to blame hip hop? You see how much this is the part of the defending of the stupidity that I tell you guys on the channel. This is the part that I tell you about all the time. We can sit here and why are you defending hip hop? People die all the time, right? It ain't the hip hop's fault. And I asked you if it's not the hip hop's fault, if it's not hip hop's fault, right? Then it is the culture's fault. You got to be one of the two. You know, the culture is either impacting the art or the art is impacting the culture. I fail to believe that an art can impact a culture. The culture, the culture has done is spread to the art like a virus, and in turn, that art is infected and then reinfects the culture. It's a vicious cycle. But what you have here is a never-ending infinity loop of one blaming the other, instead of just pointing straight out and taking it head on.
From the Chinese community, from the white community, or whatever community, like people been dying. And it's just like, even with the fact that, okay, I listen to Future, ESTG, everybody, like every single day. But at the end of the day, like, you got a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gotta do anything that Future talking about.
No, you don't have to do anything that Future talk about. And that's an important thing to know, to notice, and to know the difference between fiction and what is real. But the problem is that, number one, when you have young kids listen to this stuff like they do, y'all already know that they do. It ain't no point of even lying. I just seen some little kids listen to FNF on the internet. So they're listening to this stuff. They're growing up listening to this stuff, and it's a part of their everyday lives. And then they turn around and it's not fiction to them. To them, this is real life. And they act like this. And what do they want? They want more. They want more. And what does the people do to make the money? They give them more of the same destruction.
I ain't got to do anything that ESTG talking about. I can listen to that music and still rock out and vibe out, and, you know what I'm saying, just live my life like it's not that deep. And even with like all the people that, you know what I'm saying, make those type of choices to do those things. Marcel put up a tweet earlier about the FBI stats about like all the crime rates. We still at the lowest. Like, we don't.
The only reason that we are at the lowest is because of the sheer amount of people, or the sheer amount of numbers that we take up in the United States. That's the only reason. Have we been equal, white and black people been 50 and 50% of the country, half the country be white, half the country be black, then the crime numbers would be astronomical. And I don't know why people dance and shuffle around this junk like oh, you know, it ain't happening. It's some fake thing, and it's just the media trying to make us out look bad. No, 80 to 90% of the culture, the negative stuff in this culture, is perpetuated over and over again, and it's defended, just like this dude is doing here. No matter what, we can't do no wrong, and it's somebody else's fault.
Commit all of the violent crimes and all of the stuff that people make it seem like we do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All those numbers is fabricated. So
all those numbers is fabricated. All those numbers is fabricated. You know, and I'm a realist. I'm one to say that whatever can happen will happen, or whatever can be done will be done. So how are you going to prove that all these numbers are fabricated? Okay, we listen to you. We're gonna sit there and humor a person that is saying this. How are you going to prove it? Prove that all the numbers are fabricated. But you're not going to go and even do the work to even try to prove it, because you just said that you wanted the person that listens to the music all day long. So I know if you listen to this music all day long, you're not going to take out the time to figure out and debunk the stat that you say that that is falsified.
You know, like, you would think that with all this quote unquote promotion that we do of all this drug music and all this killing, that we would be amongst the top, but we not. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the white people, that's the Asians, that's everybody else except for us. So I just hate when people try to blame rap music and hip hop for all of this type of, you know what I'm saying, whatever what's going on. So,
and what gives people the ammo to say, to blame hip hop and say these things, like I said before I got started on this subject, because you don't, how many other artists or other genres of people that you see out here murdering each other, telling people that they got to check in, and all this junk like that, extorting people? You know, how many other genres say that and do that to each other? How many other people do that to each other? Is that fake too? Is that fake when you go out and then you look at what our people are doing? Is that fake? Is that just fabrication? Is that just smoke and mirrors? Or is that real life? Like you can't do both. You can't sit here and want to live, be a part of culture, live a part of culture, portray that part of the culture, and then when something bad happens, you want to denounce it and say that that's not true, that's not what's going on. But this is the code that they live by. They will defend this stuff until the end of time. That's why if you have, you know, any inkling of intelligence, you would need to remove yourself. It would be best to remove yourself from this situation or these situations and live your life peacefully. Like I said, they will try to defend this stuff. They will defend this stuff until the end of time. And I wholeheartedly believe that the reason that people want to, even though they make it to out of the hood, and even though they make it to a point in that part in their lives where they're no longer needed in that place, they'd have no business in those places and around those places, is because the people browbeat them and make them feel like they're a sellout when they're not around, when they're not indulging in negativity. And then they feel like they have to do that so they won't let their people down and they won't feel like they're a sellout. But no, at some point you're going to have to protect yourself and think about this yourself and the people that are around you, and know that you have more to life to live than improving yourself to a bunch of ingrates that don't care about you. It's just what that is. It's not about being racist. It's not about, you just want to be with around other people, around white people, around Asian people. It's not about that. It's about protecting yourself. It's about having more class than the people and than where you were. Yes, you were in one class, and you in your heart's telling you not to leave those people behind, but at some point you do have to evolve. You have to transcend, or you will be dragged down to the depths of the community and destroyed. And that's what you're seeing happen over and over again. And then we sing kumbaya, and it's not our fault, and it's systematic oppression in a dominant society. You guys can live in that perpetual state of madness, but I will not. Enough of that. What are we going to get to? We need to get to it's been about close to an hour. We can go ahead and get, had some more, man, but I might split this up. Let's go ahead and go to the main subject. Let's go to the main subject. All right, no mistake. Make no mistake. The Supreme Court will kill affirmative action. They said this week's oral arguments make clear that the conservative justices will gut race-conscious admissions, and that the move won't help Asian American students. Now, I believe this is all coming up because I believe there were some Asian students that sued a prestigious college because of affirmative action and their inability to get into college because of affirmative action, and I believe this is what this led up to. It said the Supreme Court started the process of officially dismantling affirmative action in college admission on Monday, as it heard two cases attacking the policy. The cases were brought to the Students for Fair Admission, the Students for Fair Admissions, SFFA, a group of that claims to represent interests of Asian American and Pacific Islander students who claim they were discriminated against by race-conscious admission policies in the University of North Carolina and Harvard. I say claims to represent because the group was actually organized by Ed Blum, a white conservative, gadfly, backed by well-funded donors, who have made it its life's work to end affirmative action. Blum has failed to take down affirmative action in the past, most recently in 2016 through the vessel of Abigail Fisher, a white woman who sued the University of Texas over its admission policies in these cases. Blum and his wife, conservative ilk, are trying to find success through pitting different minority communities against each other in the competitive world of college admissions. Blum will succeed this time, but not because the strength of the case. Fisher lost the second of her two Supreme Court cases in 2016. The court, with the court upholding affirmative action by a vote of 4-3, with Anthony Kennedy writing the majority of the opinion. This was a seven-person opinion because Scalia had recently died, and Elena Kagan recused herself because of the work on the Fisher case back when she was, excuse me, solicitor, excuse me, general for the United States. Since then, Kennedy has been replaced by alleged attempted rapist Brett Kavanaugh. See how they bring that up right there. You got to watch when you read these pieces too. Brett Kavanaugh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was also in the majority, has died and been replaced by Amy Coney Barrett and Scalia. Sorry, these ads popping up all on my way. Being replaced by Neil Grouch. All of the dissenters in the Fisher case remain. I need to see that. And this is a long article. But anyway, that is up for the chopping block. I got another article too. Just a second. So it's right here. It's ready to. They said they're ready to throw it out. Said that the Supreme Court Monday appeared ready to rule that the race conscious admissions program at Harvard and the University of North Carolina were unlawful based on the questioning over 5 hours of vigorous and sometimes testy arguments. A move that the would overrule decades of precedents. That's where I got the thumbnail from. Thank you, guys. So such a decision would jeopardize affirmative action in colleges around the nation, particularly elite institutions, decreasing the representation of Black and Latino students, bolstering the number of white and Asian ones. See, this is where you're going to get stuck in this forever race battle. You know, I call it the holy war, the forever holy war. And like I said, it's hard to argue because at one point in time, it was very much needed. Very much needed. But when you have the passing of the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, so you got the Civil Rights Acts, and then which I believe brought birth to this to these affirmative action laws. When you get these different laws and different amendments that will actually protect protected classes, how do you justify having a law that favors one race over the other? That's the issue. The very thing that you created is the very thing that's going to come and undo the work that you've done. It's weird. It's a weird thing because now you have it very well could. You know, the Roe v. Wade got kicked out and it got pretty much reversed. And if you think this couldn't happen, you're out of your mind. Now, this is the thing that people need to realize. Are we at a point that where we need something like this to get people to start actually working hard again? They're working harder to make to to get in the spots and the positions that they want to get into, or are we at a do we believe that we're still in a position to where we feel like we need, this affirmative action? Now, a lot of people in statistics say that affirmative action no longer helps, African American, especially African American men, but more so African American women and Caucasian women. That men, and I'm here to advocate for the men. So if it's not helping the men and it's just further boosting up the women in the world, what point is it? Now, is it, you have to ask yourself these questions. I tell you this, people, all the time. We get into these debates about the we get into these debate about the dominant society and all this stuff, and people in systematic racism. And I say, cool. I'm always there to put myself in the other person's shoes and to be devil's as an advocate. Okay, all those stuff exists. All those people are trying to get you. All these things are bad, and you're oppressed. How are you going to prove it? Number one, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And then what are you going to do about it? You're being oppressed, like you said. You're being oppressed. How are you going to prove it? Because it's high, systematic oppression. Because I believe the 14th and 15th Amendment, systematic oppression is highly illegal. So I'll say prove it. Prove it and send those people to jail, lock them up because they deserve it if they break the law. And what else are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? We get into this war. We get into this race and holy war deal, and you have to realize we can't fight an ideal. There's no way you can fight an ideal. That's like fighting the ideal of Batman. You can't control You can't control people that believe in Batman. You can't control that people believe in something that no matter how weird it is, you can't control it. It's not against the law for me to believe a certain thing. It's not against the law for a certain person to believe all black people like chicken and watermelon. It's not against the law from that. Now, if I was at a chicken joint and they denied me chicken because they felt like I was going to eat all the chicken in that chicken joint, that will then become against the law. So I asked you, what are you going to do about it if you feel like if this is what's happening to you? If you feel like this is what's going on, what are you going to do about it? And I can't, and like I said, I'm a realist. So I believe everything that can happen will happen, and everything that can be done will be done. So I believe it's people out there that feel that way about it. But what do I care? Number one, how you feel about me, because I can't do anything about it. And number two, are you really impacting my everyday life? Are you really impacting my everyday life on you feeling, or on your thoughts and your feelings about me? Does that impact me that much? Really? Or is it just something that I feel like we need to use in order to give ourselves a crutch? I feel, if I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna keep it real. Sometimes I feel like we don't want to let go of this stuff because it gives us a sense of something to fight for. If they take that away, what else are we going to fight for? Because it's very scary to only have to be everything that happens in your life is because you're either your hard work or your lack of thereof. So if this goes away, then what? People really think about it. How many of you guys are all trying to strive to make it into Harvard? Are you going to have to work harder? Or if you don't like the way the things are going in the main society, are you going to put your differences aside and not harm each other or not hurt each other and put your pride to the side? Or are you going to work with your people to build your people up? I would rather build my people up. I would rather build the men up in the society or community that's around me than to sit here and beg and fight for somebody else to let me into theirs. It's just my thought. Just my thought. But I don't know. It's about 4 minutes past the hour. It's 9:02. I'm gonna go watch some more Alaskan Mountain People. If you haven't watched that show, I didn't talk about no shows with you tonight during no movies. If you haven't watched Alaskan Mountain People, go watch Alaskan Mountain People. If you like that outdoorsy stuff, I like it. I enjoy it. I think that's a pretty good show if you like Naked and Afraid and Survivor and all that stuff. Go watch it. You'll probably enjoy it. Some more stuff we can look at. We'll look at some movies next time. See what else is coming out. I'm going to watch Nope. I haven't watched Nope yet. Walking Dead. I got some spoilers about Walking Dead, the end of Walking Dead, which I already knew. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about why the community and what's going on, why it won't be reversed anytime soon, I believe, and I'm gonna show you why, and just make you some all-around videos, make you guys some videos you haven't seen. I haven't been making some of my, I say, my mid-tier videos. You got the shorts are popping right now, so I try to cut some more shorts up out of my videos and continue to do my weekly live stream and give you some more of my mid-tier videos throughout the week. Guys, what do you think? Do you think the affirmative action or the elimination of affirmative action, will it hurt the Black community, or will it hurt the rest of the world, or is it a good thing? Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share this video. Subscribe to the channel, guys. I appreciate it. Help the podcast grow. All of your suggestions are welcome. I'll see you guys next time, man. I got some TV to go watch. Peace.